Hi guys, today we will be learning how to practice creating entity relationship diagram, extended entity relationship diagram, and we will look at the big example. So let me share the screen so we can start. Just a second. Share the screen. Sharing. Okay. Right. So hopefully you see my presentation by now. Let me minimize my video so you can see the entire screen. All right, that's better. Okay, so today we will be practicing creating advanced advanced entity relationship diagrams. It's a large exercise, so we will be it has various concepts that we learned during the last class. I strongly recommend you guys to look at the theory, at least review lecture slides, or you can look at the presentations that I recorded for you. So prerequisites for this class, you should be able to understand the main concepts of the advanced entity relationship diagrams. I expect you to know what is subtype, supertype, relationship, and attributes inheritance from supertype to subtype. I also expect you to understand total specialization versus partial specialization rules, and completeness constraint, disjoin rule, and overlap rule. Those are the main concepts that will be covered by the examples that we can review today. Let me start. I will be drawing as usual in Lucid chart, and we're gonna start from requirements. So this example is created based on SDSU academic dishonesty tracking, academic dishonesty process and procedures. So we will be reviewing how academic dishonesty incidents are reported and what kind of incidents exist there. So let's start. We're gonna start reading from the first paragraph, and as usual, I'm gonna start color coding. So, academic dishonesty tracking system I cheat designed, and again, I cheat. It's not the real system. It's just an example that I created. Designed to systematically monitor and address instances of academic misconduct reported by faculty members within the educational institutions. So faculty members is potential entities. So let's color code it yellow with educational institutions. In this system, academic dishonesty offense refers to an occurrence or event where a student is also a potential entity, right? So let's color code it yellow, and maybe academic dishonesty offense is an entity too. When a student has engaged in dishonest and unethical behavior related to their academic responsibilities within an educational institution. Those offenses typically involve actions such as cheating on the exams, plagiarizing someone else's work, and so on. So those looks like entities too, and those looks like their subtype of the entity type academic dishonesty offense. So let's make them entities too. And those offenses are characterized by name, description, date, and occasionally those records updated, and update date must be recorded too. So those are attributes, right? Let's mark them as blue. And I think we have enough to start drawing. So we don't know much information about student, but we know for sure that we don't have much information about faculty members. So we're going to put placeholders entities for those, but we'll either remove or update them later. But what we know from here that offenses it's usually it's an occurrence where a student is engaged in unethical behavior. So let's start from academic offense. Again, we don't know for sure it's an entity yet, but we know that it probably has, we've already heard about some subtypes. So we're going to draw it. If it's incorrect, we're going to remove them later. So we're going to call this entity academic offense. Academic uh, offense. And let's see what attributes it has. And it has name, description, date, and update date. And of course, you can add the ID and all the necessary attributes later on. So it's some polishing that you guys can do on your own. So, well, we will need a connector, and the easiest way to get a connector is to type circle in the bar, and you will have like circle as a connector right here. So you can add it a connector here. We don't really know what kind of relationships those subtypes will have. So if you look here, they talk about these offenses typically involve actions such as cheating on exams, plagiarizing. So we can put maybe cheating and plagiarism and just as a placeholders. But we might add or remove them later. So Control C, Control V. So create some maybe cheating. I don't really know what kind of attributes those will have, so I'm going to delete them for now, and we'll add more attributes as necessary. Well, anyways, so it's good. Some plagiarism. And we'll put the connectors here just to have them. Why do I have double line? I want the single line. And again, we might need to update it later as we go, and we also don't know what kind of symbol is going to be here, so it's all assumptions for now. Let's see what's next. So I think we covered everything, except for faculty and students. So let's create an entity for faculty and student, and then if we don't need them, we will update them later. So where did my entity go? No. Oh. Interesting. I'm gonna get back to my entities. Um, I want, um, I want to be able to search back. one. All right, I'm just gonna copy the existing one. I'll figure out later. So let's put a connection back here. All right, so let's keep it as a student, maybe entity, student, student. And again, I mean, I don't know what attributes we're gonna have here, so we're gonna just maybe have a name, and then let's have a faculty. Control C, Control V. Let's have a faculty. Just as a placeholders. If you don't need them, we will remove them. Faculty. All right. And I think that's all we got out of this first paragraph. So let's continue reading. I cheated aligns with the university data convention, utilizing standardized information for all system members. Okay, system members is potential entity. We don't know yet, but just in case for ourselves, we're gonna color code it yellow, which includes their names, university specific ID, internal tracking number, and addresses. So those are definitely attributes of the system members. So it looks like system members is probably an entity. So let's create an entity for system members. Code system members, and we have attributes that are names, ID, internal tracking numbers, and address. So name, ID, tracking number, tracking number, and ID, sorry, tracking number, and address. Address, or what was the last one? The last one was, yes, address. Okay, very cool. So we have members. Now, the system retains student and faculty information concerning submitted incidents. Additionally, it accommodates other system members such as staff, alumni, visitors, scholars, and others, and a cheat keeps track of faculty. So here it's clear that system faculty and students are subtypes of system members. So we're going to, I'm going to copy this connector from here because it looks like that I lost my prompt and I don't want to waste time looking for that now. So it looks like those are subtypes. Student and faculty are subtypes of student and faculty are subtypes of system members. So I'm going to make a connection here, and it's make it none and none here. All right. And I'm also going to connect it to faculty. All right, so what we don't know yet, whether it's total specialization or partial specialization, or we also don't know whether it's a disjoint rule or overlap rule. So let's read it again. System IT aligns with, okay, those were for system members. Next sentence, system retains student and faculty information concerning submitted incidents. Okay, so students and faculty we have. Additionally, it accommodates other system members such as staff, alumni, visitors, scholar, and others. IT keeps track of faculty department information. So faculty department information is an attribute of the faculty. Office location and availability. So those are faculty department info. and availability, and location. And for students, they and as well as student graduation date, major and major. Okay. Student graduation date and major. So those will be attributes too, right? Student graduation date and major. So let's call it graduation date. And set one more attribute and call it major. Okay. So those are subtypes of system members. What we need to figure out whether it's total specialization or partial specialization. Remember when we talk about total specialization, it means that supertype only has the subtypes that are listed in the diagram. No other subtypes exist. In this case, there are other subtypes exist, and those other subtypes would be staff, alumni, or visiting scholar, and others, but they don't give us any specific details of those. So other than student and faculty, there are other system members too. So that would be a partial specialization. So other system members exists. We just don't have information on them. So that is going to be a partial specialization, and it's going to be one line. Now, we need to figure out whether it's disjoint. We need to figure out completeness constraint, whether it's disjoint rule or overlap rule. And if you remember, disjoint rule states that subtype can be only instance of one supertype can be only an instance of the one subtype. So system member can be only students or faculty, but not both at the same time, and that's disjoint rule. Overlap rule states that a supertype can be more than one subtypes at the same time. So system member can be both student and faculty. In other words, student can be a faculty or faculty can be a student. So let's read the next sentence. Faculty member enrolled in professional growth program can also be considered students. So that means that system member can be student and faculty at the same time. And that means it's overlap rule. And if you remember from lecture, overlap rule is implemented, shown in the diagram as letter O. Okay, so this part of the diagram is almost done. And we're gonna jump on the next slide. We have more requirements here. So Academic Dishonesty Committee reviews academic offenses reported by faculty. Academic Dishonesty Committee is potentially an entity, but we don't know for sure yet. As a result, offense can be dismissed or if identified as valid, incident is created in iCheat. So there's two more properties of the offense. Dismissed or valid, right? So we can call, so it's dismissed, is either dismissed or valid, so we can call it is dismissed, for example. So let's add another property to the academic offense, and we know for sure that academic offense is an entity at this point. So let's say the property is dismissed. Okay, and went back to, or and the incident is created. So incident is potentially an entity, so let's mark it. Now, every incident is assigned a number, detailed description, date occurrence, reported information, and reported student ID. All right, those are entities, those are attributes of the incident entity. Why is there purple? Because I marked it purple. So let's mark them. Okay, that's better. So number, description, date, reporter, and student ID. Let's create an entity incident. Incident number, reporter, student, and ID, date, and what else? Student ID, date, and reporter information. Okay, reporter info. So what kind of attribute is reporter info? It's probably multi-valued, right? It's probably reporter name and so on. So we're gonna make it multi-valued, and we're gonna put dots here. We can update it later. Okay. So we have another entity, not yet connected to anything. Let's keep reading. Once incident is created, so academic offense can have incident created. As a result, the offense can be dismissed or the incident is created. So the incident, the incident is created, meaning it's one incident per academic offense. So it's one-to-one relationship. But again, not every academic offense can have an incident because academic offense can be dismissed. So what does it mean for us? It means that incident, it can be only one incident per academic offense, and it's also optional. So it's optional and one on the incident side, because not every offense is going to have an incident because it can be dismissed. But now for the incident, it's created for an academic offense, and it's created for only one academic offense. So it's one and mandatory. Okay. All right. So let's move on. And let's keep reading. Once incident is created, the system sends a notification email. So for each incident, system sends notification email. So let's it's also going to be one to one relationship, right? So let's create an email. So it's going to be an email entity, email. And let's see if you have attributes. Once instance created, system sends notification email. It's an entity with potential follow-up emails to the student. So it's email to the student. So email is connected to the student. So it's one email sent to a student. So it's going to be a relationship between email and a student. So let's create, well, first of all, for each incident, it's one-to-one and mandatory on both sides. So once the incident is created, notification email is sent. So let's make it one-on-one. They don't tell us that it's optional to send an email. They said that the email is sent, so it means that it's one per incident. Okay, and email is sent to students, so it's an to a specific student. So it's also 1-to-1 between student and email, and it's mandatory. We can review it later on. So let's just see if we can get more information on that. So each email includes unique tracking ID, incident info, and date to student involved. So it includes tracking ID and incident info and students. So date, tracking info and incident. Okay. Incident. Okay. So that's good enough. Well, let's minimize it. Oh, minimize it to 3. Oh, come on. Want to minimize it. All right. So email sent to a student. Now, with potential follow-up emails to the student that is involved in academic offense. So we can send one email, but we can potentially send multiple. So it's mandatory because they send an email, but maybe they send more emails. Okay, so this relationship should be multiple on the email side. Okay, so and how do we know that? Because of this with potential follow-up emails to the student involved in academic offense. So it's one email, but potentially more. Okay, so each email includes unique tracking ID, incident info, and date student is involved. So those are attributes. Okay, student can respond to the email and provide their statement or additional information. So student can respond to the email. What are responses? Responses are emails too, right? So it's going to be unary relationship on the email. One email can have responses, but one email can have many responses, but it's optional to have responses for the email. So it's many and optional, but for responses, it's required to have original email, right? You need to respond to something. So it's one mandatory on one side and it's optional on it's one and mandatory on one side, and it's many and optional on another side. Okay, so let's keep reading. Very good. And we're done with this paragraph. Oh. Academic offenses can vary significantly in nature, necessitating a categorization process. The system classifies academic offenses into four. Oh, there's a mistake here. Into four distinct types. Okay, cheating, plagiarism, fabrication, falsification, and sabotage. So those are subtypes of those are entities, and they're subtypes of academic offense. I'm gonna pause just for a second, guys. Just 1 second. Sorry, I'm back. All right. See each and what's also interesting here, they tell us that there's 4 distinct types. So distinct means there's no other types of offenses exist. So let's see if we can find information about those types to make them, excuse me, real entities. So distinct most likely means that it's total specialization. So no other types than those four exist. But let's see if we have information on all four of them to make sure that they're all tracked in the system. And if we do, then those will be real entities, real subtypes, and it's going to be total specialization rule. Okay, so for example, cheating academic offenses include information about method employed and location where cheating took place. So cheating is an entity, and those are attributes of the entity. Information about method and location of cheating. So we have one entity for sure for cheating. So let's mark those as attributes. Plagiarism specifies the source of plagiarism and degree of similarity. So those are attributes of the plagiarism. Very good. Fabrication and falsification or falsification notes the material involved and motivation. Okay. And sabotage details the method used and target of the sabotage. So those are this is very helpful information. Well, first of all, we know that those all four have attributes. So they have specific attributes in addition to academic offense attributes that they inherit from academic offense. But all of those are definitely entities, and we're going to create them one by one. So and we know for sure, since they provide us information about all four of them, we know that they're all link in the system. So that gives us information that it's total specialization, yes. We don't know whether it's disjoin or overlap rule, but we'll keep reading. First, let's create those entities. So we're going to start from cheating, and cheating, it's information method employed and location. So for cheating, we already have cheating entities, so it's going to be, let me add, it's going to be a method as an attribute and location. Okay, so yeah, conveniently we already have plagiarism too. So Control C, Control V. Let's so what was else? Fabrication. Fabrication. Let's make them a little wider and sabotage. Sabotage. Okay. So for fabrication, let's see what attributes we have for fabrication. Fabrication has material involved and motivation. Material and motivation for fabrication. Material and motivation. Motivation and for sabotage. Detailed method and target. Okay, method and target. Very good. And I probably made a whole bunch of typos here, but please don't judge. So I'm trying to get to the point. Okay. And plagiarism has a source and a degree of similarity. So plagiarism has source and degree of similarity. Okay. Very good. So the only thing we're missing is right. We also talked about total specialization rule. And total specialization rule is represented in entity relation diagram as 2 lines. So we're going to go to lines and we're going to select double line. And we're going to draw double line here. So hopefully it's going to go up a little bit. Okay. Okay. Come on. Okay. It's better. All right, so we have total specialization between academic offense and as a supertype and 3 subtypes of academic offense. And the only thing we don't know whether it's disjoint or overlap rule. Again, disjoint rule is when an instance of a supertype can only be an instance of one supertype at a time. So for example, academic offense cannot be cheating and fabrication at the same time. Overlap rule is when an instance of supertype can be an instance of one or more subtypes at the same time. So for example, academic offense can be fabrication and sabotage and say plagiarism at the same time. Or plagiarism can be a sabotage or sabotage can be a fabrication. So we don't know the answer for this question yet. So the last sentence we have here that we haven't processed yet, academic offense incidents can be classified only as one type. So that tells us that we have a disjoin rule here. So a disjoin rule means that academic offense cannot be one or more at the same time, and disjoint rule shown as letter D. Very good. So look at our diagram. Let's move it a little bit further. So, okay, so that looks better. All right, so what else do we have here? We have academic dishonesty committee meets weekly, review incidents and may determine the disciplinary action for each incident. Okay, so may determine the disciplinary actions for each incident. So it's a relationship between incidents and another potential entity, disciplinary action, okay? We don't know if disciplinary action is an entity yet, but we will make an assumption. So let's mark it as an entity for now. And well, there is also a relationship between incident and disciplinary action. And those relationships are optional because actions may be determined for an incident. So since it's may be determined, it's not necessarily required to be determined. So it's optional. And one incident can have potentially many actions. And it's optional in many on disciplinary actions side. But we don't know if it, well, it's almost 100% sure it's an entity, but let's keep reading. Name, number of votes, and action type must be recorded for each action. So yes, it's an entity and it has attributes, name, number of votes, and action type. Okay, so let's implement that in our diagram. So incident can have disciplinary actions. So disciplinary actions. And what are the attributes again? Name, number of votes, and action type. Name, number of votes, and action. Very good. So there is oh, I don't want to have it as a menu. Okay, so it's many and optional on disciplinary action side. Many and optional, and it's one and mandatory on the incident side. So it's mandatory to have an incident for an action, right? All right, so very good. Each disciplinary action belongs to a certain type, identified by a type ID and a name. Okay, so it's another entity, action type, that has attributes, ID, and a name. Action type, and it has ID and name. And it's just two attributes. Right. So, and so it's mandatory for an action to have a type, and action belongs to only one type. Okay. And now, action belongs to only one type, so it's going to be one and mandatory. Okay. And going to change it. Okay. Right. Now, and types can probably have many actions, and we don't know if it's optional or mandatory. I'm going to make it many optional. Okay. All right. So actions have action types. Very good. Each action belongs to a certain type identified by type ID and name. We've done that. Each type can have multiple actions assigned to it. Okay, can have, it means that it's optional in many. Good assumption. iCheat currently supports several action types such as sanctions and so forth. Very good. So we're done with this bullet too. So let's move to the last one. Recognizing plagiarism as a most relevant academic offense has become important to gather more in-depth information about instances of plagiarism. To achieve that, iCheat started gathering information about plagiarism sources, such as source name and description and type. So plagiarism sources is probably an entity, right? So, and um, so, so let's plagiarism sources. And source name and source type, right? Source. Very good. Now, plagiarism can probably belong to one source. So I assume source is option, source is mandatory to have for plagiarism, and so it's going to be one. Oh, it's going to be one and mandatory, but each source can have different occurrences, right? So let's make it many and optional, but we'll change it later. So the only thing is like we need to change the other side to one and mandatory. Very good. So furthermore, in a rapidly evolving landscape of technology, with the release of new technologies of ChatGPT, IT engineers acknowledge the potential need for accommodating additional source types that do not have any plagiarism sources related to those source types. So it's a new entity, source type, and that might not have any sources yet. So let's create a new entity, call it source type. source type. Let's give it a source and a name and ID, 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 name. Let's make it just 2 attributes, just for simplicity. And so the source must have a type, and certainly I unclicked it. And source must have a type. So it's mandatory N1, but source type might not have any sources assigned to them yet. It can be many, but those can be new that are just recently created. Okay, so that concludes our diagram. As you guys can see, it's fairly large diagram. So you can minimize it. I'm gonna try to make it a little smaller. Control. Here we go. Right, Control plus. Right. So it was a good example of one partial specialization, one total specialization with overlap rule, rule, disjoint rule. So those are completeness constraints. Please practice it at home. So what I really want to do now, I want to continue with the presentation just to make sure that we are on the same page and we understand clearly the difference between disjoint, overlap, total and partial specialization. So we're gonna continue with the presentation. And here I just explain you guys what are those parts of this extended entity relationship diagram. And we're going to look at different entity clusters. In this case, we're going to look at system members. At the end of the last lecture, I show you entity clusters. And entity clusters is grouping entities into different sets to make sure to represent those sets on the diagram for usability of reading. So in this case, we're looking at system member entity cluster that has faculty and student. Faculty and students are subtypes, and member is a supertype. In this case, we have partial specialization again because it says additionally it accommodates other system members such as staff, alumni, visiting scholar, and others, storing their information within the system solely for purpose of references. That means that those members are not recorded, are not part of our model. We don't have enough information with them. However, we still store information about them. Well, student and faculty are subtypes, and how do we know that from this purple prompt? And the only thing left here is overlap rule. And the reason why it's overlap rule is because, faculty members enrolled in professional growth can also be considered students. So member can be a student and faculty at the same time. That means that it's overlap rule. There's a couple more examples I have here. So let's look at another entity cluster, academic offense. So academic offense has a lot of information here. So first of all, academic offense is a supertype, and it has 4 different subtypes. And here, the reason why here it's total specialization rules, because offense is classified into 4 distinct types and no other types exist. So means that we cover all those types within this diagram. So no other types exist outside of that. And it's also a disjoint constraint, disjoint rule.
because academic offense can only be classified as one time, so it cannot be plagiarism and sabotage at the same time. So, well, I have I have a little modified requirements here just to show you how it can be overlap rule instead. So this is not part of your original requirements and just added it here to give you guys an example. So that relationship can easily be on overlap rule. And here's an example of requirements that can be used for that. So furthermore, some incidents may fall in the multiple categories, highlighting the multi-faced nature of academic dishonesty offense. So that means that one offense can be one or more category can be two or more categories at the same time. So for example, say fabrication can be a sabotage at the same time if possible, or plagiarism can be also considered as cheating. So, well, again, this is not part of your original requirement. I just added it here to show you the difference. So, furthermore, some incident may fall onto multiple categories, highlighting the multi-faced nature of the academic dishonesty scenarios. So, and that will change disjoint rule into overlap rule. But again, that is not our original requirements. It's just an example to show you that you can it can be overlapped too. And that's all I got. Here's more entity clusters here. So reporting academic offense entity cluster, also created as those requirements. Notification emails entity cluster that we already created, and disciplinary action entity cluster, and specific entity cluster for plagiarism. And when we combine all of those together, we get this large diagram. But again, we can represent a cluster as just a rectangle on the diagram for readability. All right, so that's it for this lecture, and please practice on your own. Look at this scenario, try to create diagram on your own, and once you're comfortable, please start working on homework too. That is due based on what you it's due different dates depending on what is in your Canvas calendar.